awkward. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I was asked to do a social media breakout, and at first I was like, I'm going to spend an hour explaining apps. And I was not very passionate about it until a few days ago I started writing it down, and now I'm very passionate about it. I'm like, don't give your kids phone, it's gonna ruin them. So very, very passionate about this topic. I grew up in a home where it was a Christian background, but my mom kind of let us just do whatever we wanted. Led me to just choose to do unhealthy things with phones that you never thought you would do. But I was trying to explain this topic to my mom yesterday. She's still parenting an 11th grader and 12th grader, and I was trying to explain to her, you're now giving, so most kids get a phone at age 12. That's usually the age that they start getting phones. And if you don't put up safeguards, if you don't help them in any way, you're essentially giving the whole world at their fingertips at the age of 12. And that is a huge responsibility to put on a 12-year-old, a 13-year-old, even a 16-year-old. They are bound to fail if you just let them have a phone without helping and navigating that. I also know that I'm sure there's some of you in this room that your kids do have phones, and it's okay to leave here feeling like, okay, maybe we do need to take a step back. Maybe I do need to look at all the apps that you have. I want you guys to feel empowered because the information that you're going to hear, you can't unhear. So I want you guys to highly consider looking at the way we let our teens and our kids use social media apps and their phones in general, just differently. Anything you want to say on that?
No, I think that's great. I think so often as parents, this is just my opinion as like working with a lot of students and kids, is that we see phones as like the ability to give freedom. Like we start to give freedom and start to trust. But when you really look at it, like, and even like as adults, I was like God never intended for us to have like the whole world in our back pocket. He never intended us to be able to like reach out to like any person at any time, or to see what like my friend in Hawaii was doing, or my friend in Taiwan, or whatever you want to say, right? And so while we just kind of like just think that's the way that like it is now, we expect kids to be able to handle it at 6th, 7th, 8th grade. We expect them to be able to just grab on and have the whole world at their fingertips, like no parental controls, nothing, because we're just letting them have a little bit of freedom. And then all of a sudden, we wonder like why mental health is the way that it is, or why different things like that start to come up. So even in the regard to the internet safety and like how we're safeguarding and blocking like smart TVs and Xbox and PS3 and all that stuff. So we're going to kind of dive into all that. And I just want to, like Jess said, kind of encourage you. Like it's totally okay to step back and be like, this is going to benefit you as a child, right? This is going to benefit your child in the long run if you take a step back and go like, well, maybe you don't need to be able to Google at 11 p.m. or at 6 p.m. or during homework, or be able to have Instagram and Facebook and access to all those things at the same time. So I'll let Jessica kind of
and just to add off that, you have such a responsibility as a parent when it comes to technology and phones. I feel like the struggle today is that as a parent you want to be liked, you don't want to feel overbearing, you don't want to feel like you have all these rules in place. But again, being a child of a parent who was like that, I now wish she would have had more rules. I'm sure when I was at that age, I probably would have been like, cool, you're the worst. But now being my age and realizing like, wow, if she would have had more rules, maybe I wouldn't have made the decisions that I made in that way. So today we're going to go through two different things. First would be social media apps, and then a few resources, and then the second item will be phones, internet, and a few other resources. If you have any questions at all during this, totally stop us and ask your questions. Don't wait till the end. interrupt us and ask. First, we'll go through the social media and apps, and I'll break this down into 2 sections. I know there's going to be various ages represented here, and not all social media apps. I'm sure even for the Merits, you're not going to really be worried about these social media apps that Everly's going to look at the age of 3. But for somebody like Darren or Chad, like you guys have teens, and it's hard to keep up with all of the apps that are constantly becoming a huge deal for students. So we'll be going through 6 different apps: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, BeReal, and TikTok. Some of them will go really in depth, and others will just kind of give you a quick overview on. First is Instagram. This is a huge app. I'm sure most of you guys have Instagram. If you don't, Instagram is a simple way to capture and share photos and videos with friends. It's one of the most popular social media doorways for young people because most parents perceive it as the lowest risk just because it's pictures. On Instagram, some apps have parental controls and then others don't. Instagram is one that doesn't really have parental controls. Parental controls is something that you can lock into place and you can't change it. So for Instagram, they are allowed to change that. So even if they have parental controls on their Instagram, they're allowed to go in and change it back. So that's the problem with the parental controls on Instagram. Making a private account on Instagram is probably the most important thing to do when you're making an Instagram account for your child. When you set up your account to private, it means that no one can follow the child except for approved followers. Again, the child would be able to say yes or no. But even if your child has a private account, it doesn't mean that they can't go and look at other things. So it just kind of blocks people from seeing their content. Yeah. So with this, you can kind of see like when this is more when predators try to contact kids, which is a huge issue on Instagram. They'll like a picture. They'll even try to follow the student or the teen, and that person can still message your child. So even if they have a private account, they can still get messages from anyone and everyone. I feel like I have his Instagram on my phone, and the amount of messages, I'm like, how do people find, I'm like, how does this even happen? Like, there's just, crazy people out there. Do you want to add anything?
No, that's good.
Okay. So is there porn on Instagram? There is a ton of porn on Instagram because it's built on pictures and videos. This is a huge issue for Instagram. You can find porn. Anywhere, any place. If your child tries to search up hashtags, accounts, they can clear their history. So even when you look through their phone, their history may be cleared. So there's an option for that. And then there's not a parental control that hides porn on Instagram. The only thing that you can do for parental controls on iPhones is setting up parental controls to hide it. But there's a way to kind of go around that. A lot of porn accounts will use a thing called Linktree, which is they put it in their bio. If you want to go actually back to the first, when you go to, so the last picture, it will be in their bio and it will say Linktree. When they click on it, it's this third party that just has a ton of links. So on for ROL Youth, we have a Linktree. We can link multiple different websites, but people will use that to their advantage, which that's a way to get around parental controls even on an iPhone. Anything you want to add? No, okay.
No, not yet.
All right. And then in 2019, it said that Instagram was the #1 child grooming app out there. So again, that image that we showed you, that it is so easy to get messages from strangers to be kind of lured in that way. Some tips for Instagram: knowing your child's password isn't like crucial. Just checking up on that. Obviously, if you have your own Instagram, you can check their followers, check who's following them. Just making sure you're checking their account regularly.
Yeah. Well, one nice thing about Instagram, I will say, is that you can have multiple accounts signed in on your device. Yeah. So like you could have your own and your child's, and then you're getting like notifications when they get a message, or like when they post a photo and they get a bunch of likes. Like you can get all of those notifications on your device as long as you're signed into their account. And Jessica and I do this just for sake of accountability in our marriage. Like she has my Instagram login, I have her Instagram login, and we're just signed into each other's, so that there's no sense of like my spouse won't see it because it's my account. Same thing could be for your kid. You sign in to them on your phone. Maybe you don't use it, but you still see notifications when a friend or whoever sends them a message, and then you just know, like there can't be a predator that like sends a message, or just a bully or whatever it might be, because you're getting that notification too. Yes, they can still send it to them, but then you can intervene at that moment or have a conversation, whatever it needs to be.
So is Instagram safe for your child? Protect Young Eyes is a resource that I'll talk about later, but their opinion is obviously to make that decision for your family. We also know that it's hard to say no all the time when everybody else is saying yes, but from a practical perspective, we know that parents will probably allow this. In our opinion, Instagram is a 16+ app when you weigh all of the risks that come with Instagram. Facebook, we won't spend too much time on this. It's not very much used by Gen Z or Gen Alpha, and I'm sure most of you guys know what Facebook is, so I'm not even going to explain that. Is there porn on Facebook? Again, look hard enough and you'll find it. Facebook does a really good job, though, of trying to, I feel like out of all the apps, they do a really good job of trying to hide it, but it's still there. So again, looking hard enough, you'll find it. Especially there's a videos feature on the Explore feed. I've even, I'll look at the ROL Youth videos, and then all of a sudden I'll go on to the next one, and then once you scroll far enough, all of a sudden you're like 10 videos in, I'm like, this is a bad video, how did I get to this? So it's crazy that you can be watching a sermon, and then all of a sudden you're watching an unfortunate video that I'm like, how did that get linked that way? So again, savvy searches, or again, clicking on a series of videos will definitely bring it to something. And again, as you are aware of Facebook, it's really easy to talk to strangers, but this app is a pretty good app to start with. I feel like Facebook is, again, pretty attractive social media platform for training kids on the do's and don'ts of social media. There's not much things that you can hide on that social media platform. Yeah, to be honest.
Everything you do on Facebook is just like all in the open, compared to like Instagram, where you have a direct message feature and a feed of videos that are specific to you. So I don't know that any student would ever want Facebook, but it is really like a way to stay in touch with family members or whatever like that, and maybe a good resource as a training tool, because it's so public. And again, like Instagram, you can actually have 2 Facebook accounts logged in on the same device, so you could be keeping track of your kids' activity on that as well.
Yeah. And another thing to note, I'm going back to Instagram, but there's a way to do a vanish mode on your messages. So again, Instagram is just hard because there's a lot of ways to remove what is being said. So when you go onto your phone, if you go to message somebody and you click vanish mode, if I were to be messaging Cole and I'm like, hey, how are you? By the time he reads it, it's gone. So even if you were to have a resource that screenshots bad, like monitors things and it screenshots it, it won't even catch it because it vanishes that fast. So that's unfortunate because there's no way to get to those messages back. Does that make sense?
Sorry?
Yes.
Are you saying that the child would only see it if they were on at that exact moment?
Yep. Yeah, so like
they could be having like live conversation, but a parent would never know.
Yeah,
Okay.
yep, cause then when they, go out of the message, no, that's gone, so there's no way to actually go back and see it. So that's the hard thing about Instagram is there's a lot of ways just to remove search history, to send messages that you'll never be able to actually see again. And then with Facebook, there's not a ton of ways to hide things. What's there is there. Yes.
If you were logged in though and had the same account, would you see those messages or not?
It would depend on like how quickly
Yeah.
you looked for it. So for example, like if you got a notification that Jessica sent me a message and you're trying to see it. So say I'm your kid, Jessica sends me a message, you're trying to see it. If you're like right there and you see it and you click into it, then you're gonna see it in its entirety. If like say you're at work or something and a whole conversation goes on with the vanish mode turned on, then it would all be like gone.
So it's kind of the same as iPhones right now. There's a new update where you can unsend messages. So if Cole sent me a message that said, "Hey, how are you?" And I didn't look at my phone right now, and I were to go back, it would say Cole unsent a message. So it's kind of like that where you might be able to trace it, like, oh, there might have been a conversation, but you won't be able to see it, just like the.
Yeah, really similar to Snapchat. I don't know if you know how Snapchat chat works, but really similar where you send it, once it's read, it just
don't see it again.
disappears.
Yeah.
There's ways to save the conversation history because that was the intention of it all along. But for Instagram to stay relevant with apps like Snapchat that allow for a conversation to go on and then for it never to be seen again, they added this vanish feature. I think we all know why that's attractive to people, being able for conversations to never be seen again. But it's unfortunate that they did that.
Yeah. Any questions about Facebook or Instagram? Any additional questions?
We're not trying to scare you guys either. so
No.
This is scary.
We have a team back there that's probably like, I
Jacob's
don't like
like,
you guys.
No.
Don't take away my social media apps.
Jacob's parents are pretty strict with
Okay, good.
I thought maybe.
Okay, so moving on to Twitter. Again, this isn't commonly used with Gen Z and Gen Alpha, so we won't spend, again, too much time on this app. But it's definitely a huge concern for a few reasons. If you don't know what Twitter is, it's basically like Facebook, but instead of having an unlimited character when you're typing a message, you can only do 280 characters at a time. Do you have a question? No, okay, perfect.
It's called X now.
Okay, perfect.
It is, yeah.
Oh, Twitter is?
Twitter's now called X. Yeah.
Oh,
Perfect.
Yeah, they changed the logo.
Oh, I didn't know. I don't have Twitter.
Elon Musk bought Twitter and made it better, but actually has eliminated a lot of the scrubbing of content that Twitter was doing. So it's a whole long story. We can totally talk about Twitter, but I hate Twitter. It is like, in this sense, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, in the sense of like dirty social media apps,
Yeah.
X, Twitter is the easiest place to find like the nastiest people, the nastiest content, the most porn accounts. Like it is like the #1 place where people promote their OnlyFans accounts and things like that. I don't know if you know what OnlyFans is, but it's like a subscription Pornhub essentially that you like subscribe to see things.
Yeah.
So I would like 100% say if you have a student, it gets a little bit more popular in college. That was kind of the age that it was marketed at originally as a way to share like free speech and thoughts. I would say in general, if you have a child that's asking for Twitter, I don't know why they're asking for Twitter. It's just like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know a lot of adults that use Twitter anymore either because of that. It's just like, it's messy.
Yeah.
It's really hard to not see things. And like Jessica's point right off the top with the is there porn on Instagram where it says you're supposed to say X or Twitter, it says Twitter doesn't have an algorithm for content controls, and so like it does a lot of suggesting, a lot of like, we think you might find this interesting, you follow Donald Trump who also follows this person who also follows this person, and so 5 people down the road liked this one photo that is super inappropriate and you should have never seen it on your device. Stuff like that where it's just like just the dirtiest of them all in my opinion when it comes to pastors post a lot on there with like sermon things and like different stuff like that, and so I had and used Twitter or X for a while, but like it just even in that sense where I like would only follow like Christian things, all of a sudden suggestions are just out of there, out of this world, crazy. So really, this is our number one. No,
Yeah.
don't go there with this one.
Yeah, and again, most Gen Z and Gen Alpha don't have it, so that's your benefit is your
It's not attractive.
Yeah,
to
your
them
friends don't
for
have it,
whatever
so you
reason.
don't need it. You can use that excuse. Yeah, there's a we'll just leave it at that. For location sharing on Twitter, that's another thing that you would want to turn off. People can see basically your like exact location when you were to post something. So that's another thing. Just if your child does have it, just make sure that's off. Any questions with Twitter? It's not a huge app that people use, but we will move on to yes.
I kind of have an overall question.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I've tried to protect my house
Yes.
with like, and I've tried a bunch. I've tried Covenant Eyes, I've tried Bark, I've tried Canopy, I've tried Circle, I've tried all these things, but they don't really provide what it is that I'm looking for.
Okay.
And so, I don't know if now's the right time to go
Yeah,
into this, or if
totally.
you have a segment for it.
Yeah, we do.
Okay. I don't want them to obviously go to any of these sites, but I wanna know if they do. I just don't want something that blocks them. I wanna see if they are, because I wanna deal with it. I'm a deal with it kind of person.
Yeah.
So I wanna approach them and say, hey, okay, you're looking at this. First of all, do you have any questions? Second of all, we don't look at that stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know.
That's a good
Is there
question.
something out there like that? Okay.
There's a really good one. Do you want to jump to that or?
Yeah, sure.
I'm sorry to the crowd, I don't mean to.
No.
You're totally fine.
What was the last app that we were supposed to do? Just Snapchat? And do real?
You're on TikTok.
Oh, there's a bunch more.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's just ask the room in general. We can jump to that, but are you guys interested in hearing about all those apps too?
I'm interested in Snapchat, cause don't young kids use that and I don't know.
That one's, yeah, and Snapchat and Be Real are the
TikTok.
yeah, those are the
for
ones.
most.
Yeah.
Yeah, but can you,
Yeah.
and I do wanna hear about that too.
Sure.
We have a whole section, so we'll move on.
Okay.
That's my favorite one.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part. We
Yeah.
want to answer that,
Yes.
and there is a really good resource that I found that I will implement in my home soon. The only reason I haven't is my daughter doesn't search the internet yet, so.
She's close. Good lord. Like, you're not even two. How do you get on Netflix? How did you know how to do that?
Oh, she bought Amazon already,
Yeah.
so.
Like, what are you doing?
The Prime subscription.
Okay, Snapchat. So Snapchat is one of the most popular social media platforms used by teens, and I feel like we are like haters of all social media because this is another one that I don't like.
I mean, if it's used responsibly,
Yeah.
it's not the worst thing in the world. There are certain apps though that, like this one, similar to TikTok or X, Twitter, that it's as if it was designed to like try to hide things.
Yeah.
Like why, like
And
how's that helpful?
Yeah. And
How are we helping our young people if we're just like creating
Yeah.
social media platforms that allow them to like deviate from Christian morals and then hide it at the same time? Well, yeah, that would be why, but yeah.
And I feel like even as a girl who grew up Christian, I feel like I've had a horrible experience with every single one of these apps, probably minus Facebook, where even if you're not searching for it, it's just there. Even if you didn't add somebody on Snapchat, all of a sudden you're getting asked to send pictures you're not trying to send. You never thought you would send those pictures. So I feel like it's something that you probably would never see your child doing. And I look at a lot of our students at youth group and they all have Snapchat and I'm sure they're all snapping their friends, but it just takes one person asking the wrong question but at the right time, where all of a sudden they're making decisions that they never thought they would make. Because it's late at night, it's 11 p.m., nobody's awake, nobody's gonna know. So I feel like we're just here to show you the bad side and you guys can make the decisions, because I know what it's like to
Your kids will tell you the good side.
yeah.
They're gonna
Yeah.
tell you why they need it or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. I just feel like I've walked through all of the bad stuff where I'm like, oh my word, Kaylee, you are never gonna have a phone. So Snapchat, it is a social media app that a lot of teens use. It's basically you download the app. I'll send a picture to Cole. Once he looks at it, you'll never see the picture again, unless they get screenshotted by that person, which happens a lot. Very unfortunate situations when they get screenshotted because it's probably either a very bad photo or you're saying something that you shouldn't have said, and then it gets sent to people. So yes, fun thing to do with friends, but then again, there's always that bad side. There's ways to send messages, and again, those are kind of like vanish mode unless they click on each message to save them. But unless they click on the message, it won't actually save, if that makes sense. Why should parents be concerned? So again, Snapchat doesn't save pictures or messages, so it's really hard for parents to monitor their teens' activity on Snapchat, even if you have like a monitoring tool. Once it's deleted, once it's sent, you can't see it. Also, when a photo message disappears after a few seconds, the receiver can also take a screenshot. So people feel like, oh, once it's sent, nothing's gonna happen to it, and then it gets screenshotted. There's a few things to note on Snapchat. There's a Snap Map. So meaning if I were to go on Snapchat right now, any of my contacts on Snapchat can see my exact location. Cool, that's fun. Like I can see where Cole is, but I feel like I know what it's like to then see where all my friends are and I'm not there. So you have that where, oh cool, like all my friends are together and I didn't get invited. So you have that feeling of, well, I'm totally left out right now. But then you also have that safety concern that somebody random might know your exact location, which is very scary. There's also Discover and Explorer feed. This is a bunch of stories on Snapchat that you can search through. A lot of it is sexual content. It can be funny content. There's not a ton of porn on Snapchat in the traditional sense, but there's a premium Snapchat where people can buy pornography that's sold on Snapchat. And then the last thing is the new AI feature, which is a built-in AI chat box that no matter like who has Snapchat, like you just have an AI robot on your phone. So like I have Snapchat, don't ever use it, but all of a sudden like I'll just have my phone sitting here and all of a sudden it says your AI robot messaged you. I've never used it, but when you look into it, the UK has it's caught the attention of the UK just for child privacy concerns. It's basically Google on your phone without the search history. So meaning they can ask any thing to this AI robot. So it's been known to offer sex advice. It's been known to give instructions on how to hide the smell of marijuana, and there's no way to remove it. So unless your child just ignores it, which sure I can ignore it, but a curious 14-year-old probably won't ignore it. They can. It's basically Google.
Yeah, it does really. I mess around with it because the AI is interesting. I love the idea of being able to getting it. Like it answers problems. I don't know. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I messed around with it when it came out just because I was curious about it and just was like, how do I change my gender? And it literally will walk you right through like what that looks like. And so that's where the enemy's really trying to infiltrate culture with different things like this and it's an easy way for them to go, I'm struggling with this, like what would it look like? Like talk about cutting, talk about suicide. Like you ask these questions and there's nothing that it won't answer.
Yeah.
It's very like experimental technology that like wants you to ask hard questions so that it can learn how to answer hard questions. So I just would, in general, along with Twitter, Snapchat is like our number one, like, what's the point of this function? I mean, you can send pictures in your phone back and forth. Why do you need to send them in a way where they disappear, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
So that would just be our encouragement to you, is like really try to figure out the why behind needing an app like that.
And going back to, is there porn on Snapchat again? Yes, but not in the traditional sense. I guess we'd be more concerned with children and teens sending inappropriate pictures rather than looking at something on one of the stories. One of the studies showed that 65% of teens who use Snapchat either received inappropriate pictures or sent inappropriate pictures to someone. So you're looking at more than half of, like I look at our youth group and I'm like, oh my word, half of them either sent pictures or received pictures, because it's that easy. So is Snapchat safe for your child? Probably not, but again, it's one of those things where, you just have to make that decision for your family. For Protect Young Eyes, their opinion is 16 and up, with all of the risks that we stated. Any questions about Snapchat? Yeah.
Is that an app like what you guys said with Instagram where you can log in with another account?
I don't think you
No.
can see. No.
So like you could have you could have your login, but if your child were to open the photo, like two people can't open it. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So sure, you have their login, but it doesn't really do much.
okay.
Yeah.
So it's either or, not at
Yeah.
both.
Yeah. Any other questions about Snapchat?
What are streaks?
Really?
Whatever.
I don't know fully. what
Do
they
they
are.
tell you about their streak? Streak would just be the number of days that they've snapped someone without missing a day. So
Okay.
like when they're streak, like some people brag, it's like 365. Well, they snap that person once a day, every day for 365 days.
And what's the benefit of it?
The streak?
Addicting and
To tell your friends
Bragging
that your
rights.
streak is longer than the next person's
So
streak.
they don't get any kind of,
There's no cash involved.
no,
No,
it's literally just bragging rights, just
Yeah.
addicting, and
yeah, people really do brag about it. Like when we went to Hawaii and took their phones away and they lost their streaks, they were mad. Or like people in college who were like, oh, my streak's 1,000 days and then I broke my phone. Like
1,000 days.
it's just like, I mean, adults do it kind of too, like with a streak with Wordle, or like maybe play Words with Friends every day, or open your Bible app every day and it has a streak that goes on. You know what I'm saying? So it's really similar to that.
Any other questions? All right, we'll move on to Be Real. This is a new app. If you don't know what Be Real is, it's basically at any point today, I'll get a notification on my phone. I love this app. So actually, yeah, your child can get this one. This one's a good one. So at any point today, I'll get a notification on my phone that says I have 2 minutes to take a picture wherever I'm at. It's supposed to just be like a fun, quick take a picture. If you don't do it within that 2 minutes, then you can just post it late. The benefit of posting right away is that you get 2 more times to take a picture within 24 hours. After 24 hours, it's deleted, just like everything else. But there's no way to hide anything. Again, like whatever I post, if I'm friends with Cole, he'll be able to see it. You can't DM. There's an Explorer feed. I guess I've never looked into it. I'll share that there is a study that you can be exposed to sexual content, but I feel like it is one of the safest apps. There's really no harm, except for feeling excluded when a picture is taken and you're not invited. But besides that, there's not like a ton of risk that involves.
Yeah, I really love the lack of invasiveness that this app offers, and the fact that you only can see as much content as the people that you're friends with, and so it's not addictive in the sense that it's an endless stream of content 24/7. It's just
One
like
picture.
when people post that picture as that 2-minute timer goes off or whatever. So we really do actually. Coming from a youth pastor perspective, like I actually really love this app in the sense that it's very minimally invasive. very like real. There's not a lot of like,
Filter. You
I want to
can't
get my
filter.
glamour
Yeah.
shot in this moment and make my friends think I'm prettier than I am or whatever, and different things like that. And as a parent, it's really easy to monitor what your person is posting because you can just be friends with them and look at it. And you could just take their phone and look through everything that their friends posted too.
Yeah.
And it's not, you can't hide anything. No direct messages, no messaging people, nothing. It's just really clean. Actually really refreshing compared to some of the big tech names out there right now.
So how do you add friends on Be Real? You can search the friends tab. So meaning like, I can go on my friends tab and see like who Cole's friends with, and I can add any of them. So again, you can search for people. I'm sure you can find bad things, but again, if you were to take your phones, if you were to take your child's phone at any point, you'd be able to see it too. So yeah.
It's less easy.
What are the risks? Again, in a recent study, they did say that 59% of users on Be Real has been exposed to sexual content while using the app. I've never experienced that, and I don't think you have either.
I've never heard of anyone experiencing
Yeah.
that, so I'm not sure where the study came from, but I don't know that I actually agree with it.
Yeah. So I don't know. You can add people who you don't know, just like any other app. So there is that risk. There's also location sharing. So when I post, it's on default. So like when I post, they can see my location, meaning they'll know I'm in Elk River, Minnesota. So you just have to turn that off to have that removed. So is Be Real safe for your child? In our perspective, I feel like that would be like a really safe app. It's an easy first app because there's not a ton of risk involved. And if you have if you're friends with your child, you can kind of see what they're posting and things like that. Any questions? Yes.
Between that and Facebook, what would you say is better for kids? I mean, I know
Be
Facebook
Real.
are older people. But
If you know their friends, I would go with Be Real 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I
Because
mean,
Facebook has an Internet Explorer and a marketplace and like, and
a
you can-
dating site, you can add like a dating section on your Facebook. There's the videos, so
Yeah.
there's just like more that you can like do on Facebook. And I feel like Be Real, you just post a picture, you can comment.
It's
Yeah.
curiosity kills the cat, and if there's no curiosity aspect, because Be Real doesn't really offer it, then that's where I'm like you can't. There's nothing there. Like, you know what I mean? In my perspective.
Things about Be Real is the fact that your kids sneak pictures of you and you're being liked or something and you look like a moron and they know what you hate. Your picture
You're
of
very
you.
real of that woman, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Real ugly, huh?
Yeah, that's what they try to do is catch me in all of the Be Reals because they know I hate me.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. All right, we will move on to TikTok. I'm sure you guys know what TikTok is. It's basically videos. Yeah.
It's like the most viral and
Yeah.
controversial app that has been in the last 3 years. I'm sure you've heard of Donald Trump's problem with it. China is running TikTok, all of those conspiracies around it. Again though, like when this app came out, it blew up really fast and there was no parental controls, there was no monitoring, and it just went off the rails like everything else. And it is designed for things to go viral, so there is a lot of sexual and vulgar content
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
TikTok.
It's the most influential app on earth right now. Basically everybody's using it. As far as parental controls, the most important, so if you for some reason did give your 13 to 15-year-old access to that, they can't actually be under the age of 13. They won't actually be able to make an account, but they can't lie about their birthday. So if they lie, you can't change it. Meaning there's, if my 13-year-old were to make an account, there would be like different parental controls that would automatically be added. But if my 13-year-old lied and said they're 16, I can't go back and change it. So unless I made all these new accounts, you have to do new phone numbers. There's not really a way around this. So that's the cool thing about it. Probably wouldn't recommend a 13-year-old having TikTok, but
They do really like pull back the features though for 13 to 15,
Yeah.
and they're the only app that does that, so it's pretty.
yeah. So 13 to 15-year-olds, if they do their birthday correct, they can't DM. They have to have a private account. they can only be commented by their friends, or you can click no one, and then they can't download any videos. So there's that. They can still see all of the content. They have access to all the content, so there's still that risk. For ages 16 to 17, the default video settings are friends, so meaning for download. So if I was friends with Cole, I could download his videos. That really doesn't really mean much. And all those settings can be changed by them. So yeah, after 16, they basically have access to everything. There's a way to do parent pairing on TikTok. So this allows parents to pair their device with their child's device in order to control privacy, searching content, and more remotely from the parent's device. Yeah, just doing that. So there's a way to, in TikTok settings, I was, maybe a year ago, I was scrolling and then all of a sudden like I would get video after a video where I was like, what the heck just happened to my TikTok? It was very like disgusting videos. I went on to the settings to try to like do more like restricted mode, and I actually got more disgusting videos after I clicked the restricted mode, meaning like I want to see less of that stuff. I actually saw more of it, so I was like, I'm deleting my TikTok because I'm like, I want to have nothing to do with this. So it was just kind of weird because even with the restricted mode,
they break, like the app developers try to make them a certain way and they break.
yeah,
So for whatever reason, because, and I would just say this about TikTok being another app that we would say like, I don't see the point in allowing it, only in the sense that there is so much bad content that it's like you can't get away from it. Similar to Snapchat or Twitter, like there's just so much bad content. It doesn't really matter how you try to monitor it, it's almost unmonitorable.
Quick question. So I have a 15-year-old who was on TikTok and he had an account and he would make, dance videos and all that stuff. And it was fine. We'd monitor it closely. We'd make sure to friend him and all that stuff. And but then this was when he was like 13 and 14. But then all of a sudden he turned 15 and he deleted all of his stuff on it. I was like, well, why did you do that? He goes, well, I don't want to share that stuff. Was it an age thing where he just doesn't want to share, make videos? I mean, he's still on it,
Yeah.
but he's not making videos.
I'm
anymore.
sure somebody at school probably saw it, and then he was like, oh wait, people at school are seeing my videos, meaning he probably just thought strangers were watching it, and then all of a sudden once you...
Insecurity.
Yeah. Once you realize like, oh, there's actually people, like real people watching it that you're probably like, oh, I'm kind of embarrassed, this is kind of awkward.
All right.
So it's probably that.
I didn't know, like, at what age where something changes, like how, and maybe that's just a maturity thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably a big
Yeah.
part of it, yeah.
We're probably gonna move on.
Do you have any questions
yeah,
about social
for-
media apps? I know we spend a lot of time on that. That's really pertinent to teenage parents and whatnot.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. We are gonna quick touch on the resources that you were saying. So Protect Young Eyes is a great website to look at reviews for apps. So Protect Young Eyes, they have two different features. That's actually kind of where I got a lot of my information. You can go onto their website, and do you actually want to pass this out? We have all these written down, so you guys don't have to.
Is this the one that you recommended? You recommend?
So this, yeah, you will get to that. This is not the exact one. So
Okay.
Protect Young Eyes is a great resource to look at apps, like reviews, Christian reviews for apps. They'll tell you the good, the bad, the ugly on specifically apps. This would even be like Disney, Netflix, all the way to OnlyFans, Facebook, Twitter. They do all that. They also have an app that I totally would recommend to parents. When things change in the technology world, they'll do like a full review of like, here's what just a new update on Snapchat, and they'll give you like a full video on new updates, new apps. So it teaches you from a parent level where you're like, what the heck is this? I don't understand it. So that's a great app to make note of. Bark is a really good app for kids and middle schoolers. This is one that will do real life monitoring, screen time management, web blocking. Yeah, so like if I want to block Facebook.com, my child wouldn't even be able to go on that website. You can also monitor texts, apps, web searches. You can create schedules for apps. So if you're like, okay, my child needs to be doing school from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., you can like block all of that, the apps you don't want them to go on. And you can also get location alerts. So when they get to school, when they leave school, you can actually get location alerts. This is a monthly subscription. But the third recommendation would be Covenant Eyes. So when you want to transition, which I know you said you use this, but when you want to transition from instead of blocking the app altogether and you want to start making them, you want to let them start making decisions on their own with your guidance, it will screenshot instead of block. So meaning, if I were to go on a website that, I mean, you actually had an experience because you had a friend who you had the other side of it.
Yeah, it just sends you a report essentially. So it takes screen captures of
An image,
like
videos,
images or videos deemed inappropriate.
words.
So maybe
Yeah.
the word is sex, and so if they see sex on their screen for whatever reason, they will capture what they were looking at. It gets sent to you at the end of like a weekly report, or you can log in during the week and kind of see what's sent in a weekly report, and then you can kind of see what they were looking at, what they looked at before that, what they looked at after that, kind of like a search history aspect of it.
Yeah. So this is kind of cool because it doesn't block it. Yeah, your child.
There are ways around it though,
Yeah.
like anything. So
Yeah.
if you get a
For him?
tech savvy enough kid, like they might figure out how to like not let it capture the image.
Mhm.
It's hard. It's really hard, but I'm saying like it can be done. So it all depends on how sneaky you are. I want to mention the router on the bottom of that page. I think it's called Giffen, right? Or Griffin? I love that company and that specific Wi-Fi router. This is like an actual like plug into your cable router or however you're getting internet. It has an app on your phone, and right off the bat, you're just paying for internet, whatever, and using their router that you paid for. And the app is free, and it monitors all devices, so including Xbox, PS3, Wii, whatever you're attaching to the internet, smart TVs, all the things. You can actually screen time in the sense of like turn off the internet for all of those devices. So any device.
Or each one individually.
So like Jasper's at home right now, like playing video games or whatever, right? If he's on the internet playing video games, like you could see how long Jasper's been on his Xbox because it's hooked up to the internet on your phone, and then also be able to just go like, okay, no more Xbox. And it's as simple as that. I really love that.
You could even like see where, okay, I was supposed to be working on homework for the last hour. I only chose to work on homework for the last 5 minutes, and actually the last 55 minutes I was on Instagram.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I went on a deep dive into
Yeah.
Pinterest or whatever you did, right? The thing that's amazing about this company is that if you pay for their $7.99 a month subscription, it actually will monitor your mobile device's data as well. And so any device that you pair with that account, so like my iPhone, it's so easy to get around porn blockers and stuff because you just turn your Wi-Fi off and use your mobile data, right? And then you can't track it through the Wi-Fi router. It can't block it through the Wi-Fi router. But this specific company actually, that app goes on their phone or however they do it,
Yeah,
they set it up,
yeah.
whatever. And you actually will be able to track the mobile data use and the screen time, the internet time that they have on their smartphone as well. So really, really huge resource for parents if you're just like, that's what I think of all the time. I'm a guy, I think of porn right away. I'm like, this is what I'm trying to keep my kids from ever being able to see is like looking at porn on their devices. You turn on the thing and it just like blocks it. It's so nice. And you can kind of work through different parental controls like you're saying that allow them to see it but then won't be able to like access it for a long period of time. So I really do love that Griffin company as a Wi-Fi router, but then also like a monitoring app for mobile devices too. That I feel like is kind of the answer to what you described. But
Yeah. So, we have cut the cable cord at our house, and we kind of stream everything, so.
yeah, Yeah, they have some pretty nice ones that cover like
They can handle
a
a-
large home
Yeah.
and that, yeah, they're like state of the art stuff, so it
Okay.
seems pretty nice.
We gotta be able to run this thing.
Oh, I get it.
So,
yeah.
So is this router, do you use it in concert with Covenant Eyes, or is it replacing? Does that make sense?
Can be either or. You kind of have to find that balance of like how you want to allow freedom on for certain children. Like for your home, for example, you've got some older children and some younger children. Maybe you want to know that like, okay, my youngest kids access this gaming device or this phone or this iPad tablet for school or this computer, whatever it is, right? So I want to lock that one down completely. But my older child, I want to give them a little bit more freedom and have a Covenant Eyes account at the same time, so that with that freedom, I'm also still kind of monitoring and seeing what decisions, what choices they're making. Does that make sense?
No. Explain it
Well,
again.
no, it makes sense. As you can see, I'm not a techie, but, okay, so I thought, let's just play this out. We have Covenant Eyes at our
Yeah.
house. Well, most of our kids are gone now with phones. But anyways, so can I go on, like, for example, Marielle's phone and do this whole thing with screen time down and, you know, when they can do it? So in theory, I can modify her phone still while using Covenant Eyes, so then how is that different than the router? Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, isn't it kind of blocking, doing the same thing, other than that Griffin keeps track of how much time she's doing?
Yeah. It definitely is going to work in tandem with like those other features that you're already using.
Yeah.
The reason I really like that one is because it goes cross devices. It's not just like the one thing. So where it's easy to lock out screen time on like a phone, it's kind of hard to do it on a TV or like
Xbox.
Or a computer.
or an
Yeah.
Xbox or a computer, exactly.
Okay.
And so that's where like I feel like it takes a combination of a few different resources to actually get a good broad spectrum, especially when you have such a diverse age of people coming and going through your home. Because you want to have an open network that works well for like guests or whoever, right? But you also want to be able to say like, you should never be able to access Pornhub off my Wi-Fi. Like, why can you do that? Unless with like most standard routers, you're gonna have to actually input that web address of the websites that you don't want them to be able to access. Whereas when you like work with a company like this that is designed to do that, it's gonna come like pre-programmed, so you don't have to do that, and then undergo updates and stuff too, so that they're staying up to date with different websites that you don't want to be
Yeah,
accessed.
that's what I was gonna ask, so once you have it, it does then send updates, so like if something new or.
Yeah, it's so much different.
It'll add those things.
So much different than like a plug-and-play router like you would traditionally have. Like you have Spectrum and you plug in your router and like it just, that's all it does. It's so much more interactive in the sense that like you manage everything on your phone and be able to kind of see search history based on device and person and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Did you, I maybe didn't understand this right, probably not, because I don't know much about this, but did you say you can unplug from Wi-Fi and then see pornography more?
So I was just describing it like with my phone. So
Yeah.
if for example, I was trying to look at pornography on my phone and I knew that the Wi-Fi would block it.
Right.
Because I have mobile data on my phone, I can just turn the Wi-Fi off and then see it. Because I have internet on my phone, even when I don't have Wi-Fi. Does that make sense?
Okay, so you take it out of.
You just take it off the Wi-Fi. So you turn off the Wi-Fi on your phone so you can still access the
Yeah.
internet.
Okay.
And so even if you have Covenant Eyes on that phone?
Well, Covenant Eyes should work as long as they don't disable it or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But if you were to, like anybody who came into your home and hooked up to your Wi-Fi, or if you paid the $7.99, you would be able to know anybody, like friends that came in. If you use this router, you would even be able to see their stuff. So if they hooked up to your Wi-Fi, you'd be able to see, okay, this phone looked at something, and your child may have even looked at it on a different phone in your home. Does that make sense?
I wanna see if I understand it right. So if somebody comes into my home, I now can see anything they're looking at?
If they're hooked up to the
If
Wi-Fi.
they're hooked
Yeah.
up to my phone?
Yeah.
How would I see that?
There's like
It'll
a
give
whole
you a report?
a whole portal on the thing where you can see all of the different devices, what they've searched, how much time they spend on the internet, all that stuff.
So, in essence, say my older teenagers who moved out and whatever, they come home, they come into our internet, and now I can see whatever they're looking at,
While they're on it,
If
yeah,
they're on your Wi-Fi.
if they're on that Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
With that router.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh, okay, so they have to be in my house.
yeah, using the
Hooked
Wi-Fi.
up to your internet, yeah.
Yeah.
But I just love the way that one, like an internet router, obviously it has all your search history inside of it. Like you can search for it if you really want to, but this one actually breaks it down per device and flags certain content and all of that stuff. So in the sense of like it being it just seems the most robust from anything I've seen on the market, and they are constantly trying to do better with it. So it's really cool.
So the people with home security that has ADT, you should put us there. Horrific router, home.
Any other questions?
Do you know much about how the Griffin router would work with like corporations, like when you're working from home and you're logged into your company's system?
I don't know offhand. I know they have like a whole sales team, so it would be pretty easy to call and just kind of get an answer on like, that.
I'm gonna hand out one last resource. It's a phone agreement. So this is something that I think is super important because it's not only a phone agreement for your child, but it's also a phone agreement for you. I feel like a lot of what? Oh, so sorry. I feel like a lot of parents feel like it's all on their child when they get that phone. It's all on them. But I feel like when you give your child a phone, the responsibility is also on you, that you care enough to check on your child's devices, that it's not overbearing, that you are the Lord gave you that responsibility. So I think even until they move out, they might even be older than 18, you are still the parent over your child. And so you care enough to check on their devices, you care enough to get specific routers because there's just a safeguard. I actually wish my mom would have done this. So again, as like someone who's out of the house, like I would have realized like, wow, my mom actually cares about me. She realizes that there is so much on her phones that you never would have thought you would look at. So it just shows that you care as a parent. Just another resource to give to you guys. Definitely recommend ParentQ. It's another resource in the back of your booklet that we gave you. They have a lot of resources. Anything else you want to add?
No, sorry guys, we've kept you a while, but any other questions? Okay. Hopefully that's all. Well, feel free to ask us anytime. Open books on this stuff. We try to keep up with it just because it's easy for us with where we're at in life right now. From the phone perspective, I mean, I think that